It was supposed to be a joke, a silly plan hatched in the back row of an American high school gym, but somehow it ended up carving open both of our hearts. They said love sneaks up on you when you least expect it. I say it barges in, laughs in your face, and dares you to run. The night it all started, I was standing under the buzzing fluorescent lights of Westbrook High's gym, sweat clinging to my skin after basketball practice. My coach's daughter, Madison, walked in with that careless confidence of someone who didn't need to try hard to own a room. Everyone knew who she was, the girl with the movie star smile, the blonde hair that seemed to glow even under crappy gym lighting, the one who could make teachers bend the rules with a tilt of her head. And me? I was the team captain, the one everyone thought had her life together. They didn't see the late nights crying into my pillow, or the way I bit my tongue every time someone joked about girls who liked girls. They just saw the athlete, the scholarship hope, the good kid. Madison smirked when she caught my eye. That infuriating smirk that said she knew something about me I hadn't even said out loud. She walked straight up like she owned the floor and whispered, just loud enough for the girls still packing up their bags to hear. So when's our date? The room erupted. My teammates howled with laughter, shoving me, teasing me, chanting her name like it was the punchline of the best joke of the season. My face burned. I wanted to sink into the scuffed wooden floor. But Madison didn't blink. She just tilted her head, blue eyes glinting, and added, "Come on, Captain, don't tell me you're scared." That's how it started, the fake date. Just a dare. A way for Madison to stir chaos, to poke at me until I reacted. I told myself I hated her for it. Hated the way she pulled me into her orbit without permission. But deep down, I think part of me was already leaning closer, already aching for what I swore I didn't want. Friday night, I found myself outside her house, heart hammering like I was about to play the biggest game of my life. I wore jeans and a simple black tee, casual enough to say, "This isn't a real date," but my hands trembled when I knocked on her door. She opened it in a sundress, the soft fabric brushing her knees, hair loose around her shoulders. She didn't look like trouble. She looked like summer itself, warm, golden, dangerous only if you got too close. "Wow," she said, scanning me up and down. "Didn't know the captain could clean up this nice." I rolled my eyes, but my chest tightened. "This isn't a real date," I muttered. "Of course not," she grinned, stepping outside. "It's just us. Two girls. Totally casual. Completely fake." She linked her arm through mine before I could react. My skin burned where she touched me, and I hated how badly I wanted her to hold on tighter. We went to a small diner just outside town, the kind with neon signs buzzing half the letters out, where waitresses called you Han and served milkshakes in glass cups. Madison slid into the booth across from me, propping her chin in her hands like I was the most interesting thing in the room. "So," she teased, "is this the part where you tell me your tragic backstory? You know, like all the rom-coms." I glared at her. "You're insufferable." But she didn't let go of my eyes. Her smirk softened just a little. "Only because you let me be." The truth was, I didn't know what to do with her. I'd spent years building walls, convincing myself no one could see through them. Yet here she was, poking holes like it was nothing, making me laugh when I wanted to stay guarded, making me feel seen when I'd spent so long hiding. The waitress brought milkshakes, 2 straws in each cup, and Madison didn't even hesitate to lean across and sip from mine. My throat tightened. Everyone in the diner could see us, and I felt the weight of their eyes like heat pressing against my skin. "Relax," she murmured. "They don't care." But I cared. I cared so much it hurt. Because if people saw me with her, if rumors spread, what would happen to my future? To my family who thought I was perfect? To the team that looked up to me? And yet, when her hand brushed mine across the sticky table, I didn't pull away. We ended up driving around town after dinner, windows down, music blaring through the night. Madison laughed at everything, hair whipping in the wind, and for the first time in months, maybe years, I forgot to be afraid. We parked by the old football field, the one nobody used anymore, just rusted bleachers and weeds poking through cracked pavement. Madison climbed up to the top row and patted the spot next to her. I hesitated, then joined her, the cool metal creaking under our weight. The town stretched out below us, small and sleepy, but the stars above seemed endless. "You ever feel like you're living someone else's life?" Madison asked suddenly, her voice quieter now. "Like everyone decided who you're supposed to be before you even got the chance?" The words hit too close. I swallowed hard. Every damn day. She turned to me then and there was no smirk, no teasing. Just honesty. Just Madison, raw and real in a way I'd never seen. And before I could think, before I could remind myself this was supposed to be fake, she leaned closer. Her lips brushed mine, soft, tentative, testing. My entire world cracked open. It wasn't supposed to mean anything. It was just a dare, a joke, a game. But in that moment, with the taste of vanilla milkshake still on her lips and the weight of her hand cupping my cheek, I knew it was already too late. This wasn't fake anymore. Not for me. Not for us. The kiss was brief, so brief it could have been dismissed as nothing. A spark, a slip, a mistake. But it wasn't. The second her lips left mine, the world felt colder, emptier. Like I had stepped away from the only warmth I'd ever really wanted. Madison leaned back, eyes wide but steady, like she was daring me to pretend it hadn't happened. I froze, staring at her, my breath caught somewhere between terror and longing. Say something, she whispered. I should have laughed it off. I should have shoved her shoulder, called her ridiculous, and reminded her this was supposed to be fake. But the words wouldn't come. The truth sat heavy in my chest, pressing against my ribs, begging to be let out. Instead, I said the one thing I thought might keep me safe. This doesn't mean anything. Her face flickered just for a second, but I saw it. The hurt, quick and sharp, before she covered it with her usual smirk. Of course not, she said lightly, though her voice wavered. Just part of the act, right? I nodded, though every fiber of me screamed at the lie. The drive back to her house was quiet. Madison hummed softly to the radio, her fingers drumming against the steering wheel, but the easy confidence she carried earlier was gone. I sat stiff in the passenger seat, staring at the passing streetlights, trying to ignore the way my lips still tingled. When we pulled into her driveway, she killed the engine but didn't move. The silence pressed between us, thick and suffocating. You're scared, she said finally, not a question, just a fact. I clenched my fists. I'm not. Yes, you are. Her tone was softer now, less teasing, more knowing. You're scared of what it means. Of what people will think. Of who you'll be if you admit it. I swallowed hard, the truth cutting through me like glass. She leaned closer, her eyes searching mine. I can handle fake. I can handle jokes. But I won't let you kiss me like that and pretend it was nothing. Not when it meant something to me. I wanted to run. I wanted to melt into her arms. I wanted everything and nothing all at once. But all I managed was a broken whisper. Good night, Madison. I got out before she could say anything else, my heart pounding like it was trying to escape my chest. The following week was hell. Whispers spread like wildfire through school. Half the basketball team had seen Madison ask me out. And by Monday, everyone was talking about it. Some laughed, some sneered, some just watched me with curious eyes. I pretended it didn't bother me. I laughed along with the jokes, rolled my eyes when teammates nudged me and said, "So, how's your girlfriend?" I wore the mask I perfected for years. But every time I caught Madison in the hallway, leaning against a locker with that unreadable expression, my mask cracked a little more. She didn't chase me. She didn't tease. She just watched, waiting, as if she knew I'd come to her eventually. And maybe I would have if everything else in my life hadn't started collapsing at the same time. It began with Coach. She cornered me after practice one evening, her expression sharp enough to cut steel. "Sit down," she ordered, pointing to the bench. I obeyed, sweat still dripping down my temples, heart racing with the familiar fear that came when adults looked at me too closely. She folded her arms, studying me like I was some puzzle she couldn't quite solve. "I've been hearing things." My stomach dropped. "About you and Madison." I swallowed hard, forcing a laugh. "People talk. You know how high school is." Her eyes narrowed. "This isn't funny. You're my captain. You're supposed to set an example. The last thing this team needs is drama." And Madison, she broke off, shaking her head. "She's reckless. She doesn't think about consequences. And I'll be damned if I let her drag you down with her." My chest tightened. "Coach, it's not. End it," she cut in sharply. "Whatever game the two of you are playing, it stops now. Do you understand?" Her words slammed into me like a physical blow. End it. As if there was nothing real to end. As if what I felt was just some distraction, some joke. I nodded numbly because what else could I do? Defy my coach? Admit the truth out loud? She gave me one last piercing look, then turned away muttering, "I won't lose my captain over my own daughter's nonsense." The door shut behind her, and I sat frozen on the bench, my throat burning, the weight of her words crushing me from the inside out. That night I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my phone buzzing with a text from Madison. "So are you going to ignore me forever, or should I start a countdown?" I stared at the screen, my fingers hovering, trembling. I wanted to tell her everything, that her kiss haunted me, that my chest ached when she wasn't near, that I was terrified of what it all meant, but even more terrified of letting it go. Instead I typed, "It was just fake. We need to stop." I hit send before I could change my mind. The 3 dots appeared almost immediately, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, her reply came through. "If that's what you want. But don't lie to yourself, Captain. You're better at games than I am. But I can tell when you're playing one with your own heart." I threw the phone aside, pressing my fists against my eyes until stars burst behind my lids. Why did she have to make it so damn hard to breathe? Days passed. I threw myself into basketball, into homework, into anything that kept me too busy to think. But no matter how hard I ran, Madison was everywhere, in the corner of classrooms, in the bleachers during practice, in the laughter of girls whispering behind me in the locker room. She didn't push. She didn't beg. She just existed, and somehow that was worse. One afternoon after practice, I walked out to the parking lot and found her leaning against my car, arms crossed, looking effortlessly beautiful in ripped jeans and a faded band tee. "What are you doing here?" I snapped, too harsh, the words laced with panic more than anger. "Waiting for you," she said simply. "I told you. I know what you told me." She cut me off, stepping closer, her eyes blazing. "But I also know you didn't mean it." I backed up until my spine hit the cool metal of my car. "Madison, stop." "No," her voice cracked, and suddenly she wasn't the confident troublemaker anymore. She was just a girl, vulnerable and raw. "I can't stop. Not when I feel like this. Not when I know you feel it too." Tears stung my eyes, hot and angry. "You don't understand. If people find out, if my family, if Coach, then let them," she whispered fiercely. "Let them talk. Let them judge. None of it matters if you're miserable hiding from yourself." Her words broke something in me. My chest heaved, torn between the crushing weight of fear and the unbearable pull of her closeness. "I can't," I choked out. "I can't be who you want me to be." Madison's face crumpled. For the first time, she didn't have a comeback. She just stepped back, her arms wrapping around herself like she was cold. "Then maybe you'll figure it out when you've lost me," she said softly. She walked away, her blonde hair catching the fading sunlight, and I stood frozen, my hands shaking so badly I couldn't even unlock my car door. Because deep down I already knew she was right. And I was terrified of how much that truth would cost me. I thought ignoring her would get easier. I thought if I buried myself deep enough in practices, in homework, in endless excuses, the fire she lit inside me would smolder out. But it didn't. It burned hotter, pressing against my ribs until every breath felt like betrayal. The halls at Westbrook High grew colder. People whispered when I passed. Some grinned like they knew secrets about me I hadn't even admitted to myself. A couple of the guys on the football team made crude jokes in the cafeteria, loud enough for half the school to hear. I clenched my jaw and walked past, but every step felt like I was dragging chains behind me. And Madison? She wasn't making it easier. She didn't chase me anymore. No teasing, no smirks, no bold interruptions during practice. She just kept her distance, existing on the edges of my world. But every time I caught her eyes across the gym, in the cafeteria, in the parking, Lodi felt that same unspoken pull, that same unbearable truth. It was killing me. One night, I came home from practice to find my dad at the kitchen table, a beer sweating in his hand, the television blaring in the living room. My mom was washing dishes, but her movements were sharper than usual, the clinking of plates harsher, like she was biting back words. "Sit," Dad said, his tone heavy. My stomach twisted. I knew that voice. That was the voice he used when I was in trouble. I sat, my palms slick against the wooden chair. He didn't waste time. "What's this I hear about you and Coach Reynolds' daughter?" The air left my lungs. "What? Don't play dumb." He leaned forward, his eyes hard. "Word gets around in this town. People are saying you're involved." Heat rushed up my neck. "It's not true," I blurted out. "It's just rumors." He slammed his fist on the table, making me jump. "Damn right it better be just rumors. You've got a future ahead of you, scholarships, opportunities. You think anyone's gonna take you seriously if they think you're one of those girls?" "John," Mom said sharply, but her voice wavered. He shot her a look that silenced her instantly, then turned back to me. "You keep your head straight, you hear me? No more of this nonsense. I won't have my daughter throwing her life away over some phase." My throat closed. I wanted to scream, to tell him it wasn't a phase, that it was real, that Madison's kiss had set something alive in me I couldn't put back to sleep. But the words stuck like barbed wire. "Yes, sir," I whispered. He nodded, satisfied, and took another swig of his beer. Mom's eyes met mine for a second, full of something pity, maybe, but she turned back to the sink without a word. And just like that I knew. If I chose Madison, I'd be choosing against them. The next week was brutal. Coach pushed harder than ever, barking at me during drills, her eyes sharper than usual, like she was daring me to slip. My teammates started asking fewer questions, but their sideways glances told me everything they didn't buy my act. At night I lay awake staring at the cracks in my ceiling, Madison's face haunting me. Her laugh, her confidence, her soft whisper on that bleacher. I can handle fake, but not when it meant something to me. I told myself to let her go, to forget, to bury it. But the more I tried, the louder her absence screamed. It all came to a head the night of the homecoming game. The gym was packed, the roar of the crowd echoing through every inch of my body. This was supposed to be my moment, the captain leading the team to victory, scouts in the stands, my family beaming with pride. And we won. We crushed them. I scored the final shot, the buzzer blaring as the crowd exploded. My teammates lifted me, the cheerleaders screamed, the band played off-key but loud. I should have felt unstoppable. But as I scanned the stands, I saw her. Madison, sitting alone near the back, her face unreadable. She didn't cheer. She didn't smile. She just watched me with those piercing blue eyes, like she could see right through the jersey, the victory, the mask. And in that moment, the noise of the crowd faded. The trophy in my hands felt hollow. The victory tasted like ash. Because what good was winning if she wasn't there to share it? After the game, while everyone celebrated, I slipped out the back doors of the gym. The night air hit me cold and sharp, but it wasn't enough to clear the storm in my chest. I found her sitting on the hood of her car, waiting. "You played great," she said softly. "Thanks." My voice cracked. Silence stretched between us, thick and unbearable. Finally I broke. "I can't do this anymore," I whispered. "Pretend like it doesn't matter. Pretend like you don't matter." Her eyes widened, and for the first time in weeks, that guarded wall of hers cracked. "Then don't," she said. I stepped closer, my heart pounding. "It's not that simple. My dad, me, coach everyone. I don't care about everyone." Her voice trembled now, fierce and fragile all at once. "I care about you. And I think you care about me, even if you're too scared to say it." The words broke me open. Tears blurred my vision as I finally let myself close the distance, finally let myself touch the warmth I'd been starving for. When our lips met again, it wasn't tentative. It wasn't fake. It was desperate, aching, real. Her arms wrapped around me, pulling me close, and for the first time in my life, I felt like I belonged exactly where I was meant to be. But happiness never comes easy. The next morning, my phone lit up with messages, screenshots, whispers, blurry photos of me and Madison outside the gym. Someone had seen us. Someone had spread it. By noon, the whole school knew. By practice that afternoon, Coach's fury was a storm I couldn't outrun. "You!" she barked, pointing at me like I was the enemy. "My office. Now." The room fell silent as I followed her, every eye burning into my back. The door slammed shut behind me. Coach stood rigid, her jaw clenched, her voice shaking with rage. "I warned you. I told you to stay away from her. And now? Now the entire town is talking. You've embarrassed me. You've embarrassed this team. You've embarrassed yourself." My chest heaved, tears burning my eyes. "I didn't mean. Save it." She cut me off like a blade. "You're benched. Effective immediately. You will not play, you will not lead, until you prove to me you can get your priorities straight." The words hit like a punch. Basketball wasn't just a game. It was my life. My ticket out. My dream. And she was taking it away. Because of love. Because of Madison. Because of me. I left practice in a daze, my sneakers dragging against the pavement, the world spinning too fast. My phone buzzed with messages from teammates, from friends, from my mom. I ignored them all. I didn't know where I was going until I was there standing outside Madison's house, my knuckles raw from pounding on her door. She opened it, eyes wide, concern etched into her features. What happened? I broke. Right there on her doorstep, the weight of everything crashing down. I told her about my dad, about Coach, about the rumors, about the benching. Every word spilled out between sobs I couldn't hold back. She pulled me inside, wrapping me in her arms, holding me together while I fell apart. I'm so sorry, she whispered, her voice breaking. This is all my fault. No, I choked. It's mine. I'm the one who's too scared to fight for us. She cupped my face, forcing me to meet her eyes. Then fight now. For once in your life, fight for what you really want. And as I stared at her, the girl who had turned my whole world upside down, I knew she was right. I just didn't know if I was strong enough. The days that followed felt like walking through fire. Every glance in the hallway burned. Every whisper stung. My teammates wouldn't meet my eyes. Some of them wouldn't even sit next to me in the locker room. Coach's silence was worse than her shouting. She treated me like I was invisible, like I no longer belonged. At home, things weren't any better. My dad refused to look at me. His disappointment a storm that never ended. He slammed doors, muttered curses under his breath, and left the dinner table early. My mom tried to smooth things over, but her silence cut just as deep. The only place I felt like myself was with Madison. But even that came with guilt. Every time I held her hand, I thought of the team I'd lost. Every time I kissed her, I thought of the scholarship that might slip through my fingers. Love made me whole, but it also made me question if I was breaking everything else. One Friday night, Madison drove us out past the edge of town, down winding country roads until the streetlights disappeared. We ended up at an old lake, the surface glimmering under the moonlight. She spread a blanket on the hood of her car, and we lay there side by side, staring up at the stars. You know what I used to dream about? She asked softly. I turned to look at her. What? Leaving this town. Finding somewhere nobody cares who my mom is, or who I love, or what I'm supposed to be. Just being free. Her words settled deep in my chest. Sounds perfect. She reached for my hand, her fingers intertwining with mine. Come with me. The breath caught in my throat. What? After graduation. Just leave. Start over. You and me. No rules, no whispers, no lies. The idea terrified me. Leaving everything I worked for? My team, my scholarship, my family. Even if they didn't see me, they were still my family. Could I really throw it all away? But as I looked into Madison's eyes, full of hope and defiance, I realized the real question wasn't if I could. It was if I dared not to. The breaking point came sooner than I expected. 2 weeks later, Coach called me into her office again. Her jaw was tight, her eyes cold. I've spoken with the athletic board, she said. Your scholarship is in jeopardy. They don't want players who bring distractions. If you don't end this thing with Madison, your future is gone. My heart slammed against my ribs. You can't do that. I can, she said sharply. And I will. I'm your coach. I'm also her mother. And I won't watch you both ruin yourselves. Her words should have broken me. A month ago they would have. But instead a strange calm settled over me. I stood, meeting her eyes for the first time without flinching. With all due respect, Coach, my future isn't yours to control. And neither is my heart. Her face went pale. For a moment she looked less like a coach, less like an authority figure, and more like a mother terrified of losing control. I didn't wait for her response. I walked out, my legs shaking but my chest finally free. That night, I went to Madison's house. She opened the door, her expression tense, like she'd been waiting for bad news. But I didn't give her a chance to worry. I pulled her close, kissed her with every ounce of courage I had left, and whispered against her lips, I choose you. Her arms wrapped around me and she laughed through tears. About damn time, Captain. The fallout was brutal. Rumors grew louder. My dad shouted until his voice cracked. My teammates kept their distance. The scholarship offer vanished, just like Coach had warned. But through it all, Madison stayed. She held me when I cried. She reminded me that love wasn't weakness, it was strength. And slowly I started to believe her. Spring rolled into summer. Graduation came and went. My dad didn't clap when I walked across the stage, but Madison was in the stands, her smile brighter than the sun, and that was enough. We packed our bags 2 weeks later. Just a couple of suitcases, some cash, and dreams bigger than our hometown could hold. As we drove away, the road stretching wide and endless ahead of us, Madison reached over, lacing her fingers through mine. "Scared?" she asked, her voice soft. I squeezed her hand. Terrified. "Good," she said, grinning. "Means it's real." We laughed, the kind of laughter that felt like survival, like victory, like love. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't running from fear. I was running toward something, toward her, toward us, toward the life we were brave enough to claim. We didn't have it all figured out. We didn't know where the road would lead, or how hard it might get. But as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in fire, I leaned against Madison's shoulder, and she pressed a kiss to my hair. And I knew without a doubt that our fake date had become the truest thing in the world. Because in the end, love wasn't about what we lost. It was about what we found each other. And that was more than enough. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.